Hello everyone, I am Mohit Patel from Team Pioneers. We are here with the presentation to propose the solution of employee turnover in an organization using SAP Lumira. High employee turnover can have severe impact on your business, both financially and emotionally. If you suspect that turnover is an issue for your business, you should take steps to recognize possible cause of turnover. Measure your turnover rate and then address your turnover problems. A high employee turnover rate, the rate at which employees leave a business, can affect the bottom line of business of all size. However, the negative effect on small businesses can be particularly harsh due to limited resources and the investment in employees. Because employees who are satisfied with their jobs generally don't give them up. High turnover is usually indicative of a problem. If you have a lot of turnover and you're losing good employees, you may want to give some thoughts to the possibility that the cause of high employee turnover in your business is a moral problem. Among several reasons of employee turnover, a major reason which impacts the hiring and turnover in an organization is workplace discrimination. High profile discrimination settlements have cost large corporations hundreds of millions of dollars. While your small business is unlikely to be forced to pay an amount that extreme, discrimination can still have a significant impact on the bottom line. Financial effects of discrimination go way beyond cash liabilities. The impact on internal workforce productivity, your ability to retain and recruit staff, and even your perception among customers can all be negatively affected by discriminatory practices. The first step in addressing discrimination is to acknowledge the gravity of the problem. The harsh reality is that despite many organizations are now being known as a fair and tolerant work environment, discriminatory attitudes still infect workplaces, employee attitude, and laws and policies. Employers should not only strive to recruit and hire in a way that provides equal opportunity for workers of all backgrounds to obtain jobs, but also ensure that race and color discrimination are not barriers to employees' success once they are in the job. Race and color should not affect work assignments, performance evaluation, training opportunities, discipline, or any other term or condition of employment, except in appropriate circumstances as set forth at Section 15.5c of Compliance Manual section on race and color discrimination. Let us take an example. An employer terminates a new Asian employee on the grounds that she performs her work too slowly and makes too many mistakes. The investigation reveals that although white employees who perform at substandard level are coached towards increasingly good performance, new employees of colors get less constructive feedback and training. Therefore, they tend to repeat mistakes and make new ones that could have been avoided. A finding of discrimination would be warranted. The concept of human right is based on a common recognition of the importance of fair treatment for all and the belief that people should be able to work free of discrimination and abuse. Hence, in order to monitor non-discrimination across organization in the dimension of gender, ethnicity and grades, we have built predictive analysis model using SAP Lumira to identify the current trend and forecast future breakdown of an organization's workforce. Let us see how it can be achieved.
For predicting and forecasting, we have downloaded dataset from Kaggle website. The dataset contains information about employees covering their country of employment, gender, age, grade, joining date, termination date, and number of years in company. We started with cleaning up data source by removing incomplete, incorrect, and irrelevant information. Data source for our model was an Excel file. While creating model, we were facing data non-zero value, null data error, and input data incorrect error. We rectified these by removing the null values from the Excel file. To prepare our data set, we followed 7 steps. First, import of external source dataset and creating a backup for same. Then ensure that the data is in Excel tabular format. We performed spell checking and replacing of some inaccurate data. Column manipulation was another important step we performed. It included inserting, removing, transforming of column or column data. We fixed number and number signs. Then we fixed dates and date format as per the model. Lastly, we removed spaces and non-printing characters from text. Now, let us dive into the insights we have derived.
To start with, this particular pie chart shows the gender distribution of our company at this particular point of time. In the green, we have the male population, which as we can see is 60.86%. On the other side, we have the female population of 39.1% shown by the blue legend. Now we will be interested to see how the trend has been. Moving to the next chart, the bar chart, as you can see on the screen now, shows the gender distribution for past 3 years for each quarter. In the green legend, we can see the male population, whereas in the blue legend, we can see the female population. We can see that in the first quarter of 2014, there were 54 females hired corresponding to 77 males hired. This has been a similar trend throughout the year, where the males have been hired more than the females. We can also see that there is a trend that in the month of Feb and March, we have less number of people hired comparative to the first and the last quarter of the year. The same pattern can be identified throughout the cycles for the year 2014, 15, 16. Now we will move to seeing the forecast which is made by Lumira. We have used triple exponential smoothing algorithm for predicting these insights. Here we again have the forecasted values being shown by the green legend, whereas the actual values are highlighted by the blue legend. For the quarters of 2017, we can see that for male population, the hiring is 54 employees, whereas for the second quarter, it will be 50 employees. The third will be 49, and the last will be 49. Similar is the case for the female employees. So the trend which we have seen in the past continues. Similar to the gender distribution, we will try to identify the ethnicity distribution throughout the company. As we can see through the heat map that we have the less number of native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander in our company population as compared to white, Asian or other ethnic group. So we can identify through this simple map that which portion of the ethnicity is lacking in front of the other ethnic groups present in our company. Now we will move to the chart which will show the population of each ethnic group in terms of males as well as females. Here we can see the ethnicity of American Indian. For females, we have 335 of them, whereas we have 340 males. So this chart gives us greater insight not in terms of the gender but also in terms of the particular ethnic group in which they belong. Similarly, we can see that for Asians, we have 247 females, whereas the male ratio is 480. And the case of whites, we have 239 females, whereas we have 443 males. So in most of the ethnic groups, we have more number of males than females. Now, on the basis of the information we have, we would like to see the trend. So the line graph shows us the population of different ethnic groups corresponding to each quarter in each year with their specific population. We can see the native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders population and the decline or incline corresponding to each quarter. Now we would like to see how it can change in future. So we are using a trellis, and this particular trellis goes into detail of each and every ethnicity and shows what is the actual value corresponding to what is a predicted value. We have the predicted value in green, whereas the actual value is highlighted in blue. The common pattern we can see is that we have a decline of most of the ethnic groups a part of Black or African American and not available, which means that the ethnicity by these particular employees has not been shared. So one of the reasons for this can be identified through the historical data we have, where we see that the hiring decreases in the second quarter as comparative to the first quarter. The information which we find using the gender and ethnicity distribution is a key. Especially for business, they can determine if their workplace is actually an equal opportunity provider or not. The current status, along with trends, can be easily identified. Furthermore, system forecasts the future diversity on the basis of historical and current state of the company. As a result, company can turn these insights to augment their future actions, to maintain the workplace welcoming to the brightest talent from all parts of the society. Workforce is the most significant thing to achieve the organizational excellence, irrespective of any domain we talk about. Now we look at the attrition rate in our company. The line graph shows the attrition corresponding to each quarter for last 3 years. As we can see that in the first quarter of 2014, there were 73 employees terminated. In the second quarter, we had 102 employees terminated. And in the third quarter, the number went up to 124. If we see, then we can identify there is a common pattern throughout this graph, as per which in second and third quarters of every year, we have an incline in the number of attritions. Similarly, if we see then in the fourth quarter of every year, we see that there is a decline. Now, this chart alone tells us the holistic picture of the attrition throughout the company in each quarter of the financial year, but we would also like to gain some information and insight that how this attrition is done on the basis of each and every grade to take more specific decisions. As we can see through this three-dimensional chart, we have the count of number of employees terminated across different grades, across different quarters for last 3 years. Highlighted in blue are the grade 4 employees. In green we have the grade 5 employees, and in yellow we have 2, and in orange we have the grade 3 employees. So we can see that the most number of attrited employees are of the grade 3 and then of the grade 2. One of the reasons for it should be that we have the highest number of grade 2 and grade 3 employees in any company. Compared to the number of directors, we always have number of individual contributors much more. This chart is helpful in gaining the information that which grade employees leave the company at which time of an year, so we can have a strategy in place to retain those employees which have the high potential. Now we would like to know the forecast using SAP Lumira's computational ability to understand that during which part of the year will the employee attrite from the company. In the line chart shown, we have the green chart forecasting for the future, and we have the blue chart showing the actual values. So as per SAP Lumira, in the first quarter of 2017, we are expected to have 60 terminations compared to the actual of just 19. The reason that the value is so low is because the first quarter of 2017 is still in place. We have 2 good months to go. So this number is expected to come much closer to the forecasted value. Once we have clarity over the attrition across different grades, we were interested to know how we are replacing the current talent with the new talent. So the current graph, it shows the hiring per grade yearly. So here we can show the number of employees who are being hired across different grades in different years. So with the legend blue, we have grade 5 employees, with the green we have 4, in yellow we have the grade 2 employees, in orange we have 3, and in the red we have the grade 1 employees. So we can see that the grade 1 employees are the ones who are hired the most, and it can be well understood by the fact that we have the lower level of employees, which usually much more than the other level of employees, like for comparison with level 5 or level 4. Now we would like to understand the trend in the past quarterly, since the information we saw was yearly. Now this particular line chart is a trellis chart which shows for each particular grade, like this is for the grade 1 employees. In 2014, the first quarter, there were 43 employees hired. In the second quarter, there were 39 employees hired. So it shows us the trend for particular grade in each and every quarter for the last 3 years. Now we would like to know the forecast, that how will we hire in the coming year 2017. The green line shows us the forecast by SAP Lumira, whereas the blue line shows us the actual values. As we can see that the forecast is very close to the expected value, which lets us believe that the forecast is quite strong and can be relied upon, a part of the evaluation criteria we have seen. So we can see that for the grade 3 employees, we are expecting to hire 16 employees in the first quarter, whereas only 2 have been hired till now. And as we already know that there are 2 good months remaining in this quarter, so we are expecting to hire about 14 more employees in this particular quarter. As we can see, we have the knowledge of likelihood of attrition of employees in each grade corresponding to each quarter of the year, and we also have the knowledge of what is the expected recruiting we will be doing in the future. It is expected to bring a good business value, since we know which employees are likely to leave at which particular time of the year. We can use this particular information to prepare retention strategies to avoid loss of high potential employees. Potential of employees in one of the way can be determined by the delivered succession planning module as part of success factors. Also, we can plan upfront to mitigate the risk of unplanned turnover with a well-planned backup strategy. Automation of raising a job requisition can be done using job and profile data of current employee, corresponding to which we will have potential applicants to replace the current talent whenever needed. It will save time to get a new employee on board if current employee leaves. Hence, we will simplify the business process in the HR domain using the SAP Lumira predictive analysis.